It's happened 8 years ago, from 2016, when my son was 16 years old. Starting of it, he came in from school, something. So they have this special pizza place in Waltham, so where all the young lads they go and
I think I
chill
know
out.
the place. Yeah.
Pizza, downtown pizza,
Is it by
St.
like?
James Street.
Is
Yeah.
it by like the traffic lights?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know
So
that
they
place.
always going in there and chill out. So he was in there. I saw the CCTV. He was sitting there, and these guys now, Walthamstow High Street is drugs den here, and they reckon it's a business, good business for drugs. So you have the higher middle guys, them now, like fighting the Marley's boys, them. That's the St. James Street boy. For that, to control that boundary. Everyone tried to fight to control their territory. They're not having it. So these boys from Iron Hill, they always come down and they attack these boys them down there. They will stab up, shoot up, acid and everything. And I don't know if because of their colors, they have never been harassed by the police. So every time they come down, they attack this boy them. Is this same, the victim them, the police them harass. So on this particular evening, they were in the Pizza Hut. My son was sitting, and these boys, even the same one that died, and they enter the Pizza Hut and they start to one of the guys in the Pizza Hut gets stabbed in his chest. My son get acid, and they were like baseball and everything, and they do their job, and they lived. When the police were called and the ambulance and you can see my son was like, he don't even know what happened. He was like, he was in panic. He didn't seem like he was hungry or anything. He just like tried to make an escape, and he go to the back of, over the counter of where they gave him water to wash his face. And anyway, after the police and everything come, and they went outside and go. Instead of the police, they go in search for the perpetrator. It's the victim. Them you see a man get harassed, a man get beat up with baseball, and a man get stabbed. They took the one that get stabbed to hospital. Then they took my son and the other rest to South London, Carindale police station.
South
The
London to
victim,
Walthamstow.
they locked up instead of they go in search for this perpetrator. They locked up the victim, and it took them 24 hours to realize that they were the victim. So it's happened that on the next day they release them when they realize that they are the victim and not the perpetrator. Still, they didn't come and go in search for the perpetrator. So within my little knowledge and experience, and I say, this would make anyone angry. Because if I'm a victim and then I found myself into a police station for 24 hours, so they comes out now and man was angry. So they must decide not to. That's what the police said. I didn't hear it in the CZ, but in the webcam, because they said, one of the guys said they're gonna revenge or adventure what. So that's what the police say. We in the court, we couldn't hear it. But that's what the police say is webcam captured. They said they're gonna revenge. Anyway, they 3 days after that, because it happened on that incident happened on the 14th, and then the boy died on the 16th. So it's called it 3 days after. And they went in the area in Higham Hill, and they saw the boy, one of the boy, and they attacked him. Unfortunately, he got stabbed, and he went to hospital. He was in hospital. He died 4 days after. And my son wasn't there. He take his medicine, and you can see on the CC footage where he was the last sighting they saw my son that evening was, I think it's either 6:45 or 7:15 on the CC footage. The murder took place at 11:45 in the night.
Mm.
They have footage of the other defendant them, because 7 of them get charged.
Mm.
In the cab office, they saw them when they went into the cab that took them to I Am Hill. My son wasn't there, nowhere to be seen in that footage. They went to I Am Hill and they do what they has to do. It took now from then the police they come and they didn't do any arrest. It's I think couple days after when they see the CC footage and everything. But because the reasons dragging my son into this, that's the only thing they had to drag my son down this, is because he was attacked in the downtown pizza. There's nothing else, no CC footage, nothing else to link my son to the crime scene. There is no facial images, nothing to link my son to it. So anyway, they have him under investigation until they eliminated him from the inquiry in 2021. So he's no not longer a part of the investigation. And 2020, they eliminated him. 2021, the 21st of September, because he was working on a construction site. He doing apprenticeship and he works in the West End at a burger place. So he moves on with his life. And he got up this morning, this particular 5:00 in the morning, to get prepared for work. He heard bang, bang, bang on his door. So he's saying, because he did get stabbed up, left with a punctured lungs, they have to airlift him from. So he said, they move him out of Walton Forest, bring him to South London. So he said when he heard the knocking, it was like, he said, oh my God, don't tell me that these guys, they find me. And he was like scared. But anyway, he said he went and he looked to the window. And when he looked, he saw about 5 police vehicles, they with light flashing. I'm saying to myself, no, you're going for one man, one little man, and the whole of Scotland Yard. Five, went down there, light flashing. It's lucky it's early morning, where nobody didn't really know, because, when he looked through the window and he see this whole lot of, he went to the door and he said, what do you want? I haven't done anything, because they eliminated him from the inquiry. So, and he haven't got involved in anything. So he went to the door and said, what do you want? I haven't done anything. Why are you here? They told him to open the door. By the time he opened the door, he was in handcuff. Oh, we charging you for Cassie McCrane murder. You see, for what murder? I didn't murder anyone. I didn't murder anyone. And to my surprise, that happened 5:00 in the morning. And by 10:00, my son was in court. So it's like they charge my son before they even come and get him. He was in court by 10:00, Stratford Magistrate Court.
Mad. That's mad.
So when I get the call, it was a police, they ring and said, Christopher want to speak. The first thing come to my head was, oh my God, don't tell me that he went to work and don't have any bus fare and jumped the train barrier, because, a young people style. That is the first thing flash in my head. Instead I hear his voice and he said, Mom, they charged me for murder and said I'm going to court. So I'm like, I went straight away to the court. When I get there, his barrister and said, It's just the same rubbish. No evidence or anything. Just the same rubbish. Anyway, they remanding him. I got home, I rang the police and I have a conversation. I said, why is my son being charged for murder when he was eliminated from the inquiry in 2020? So why is my son being charged? The officer said to me, the reason why my son being charged is because they've been trying with him for over the past 5 years to help them with their investigation, and he refused. So hope now he becomes a suspect. He will tell his legal team what happened that night, or he tell the 12 members of jury, or he tell the crown prosecutor, or else he spend his rest of his life in prison. That's what the officer predict on my son. So I said to him, the blood of Jesus is against you, because I did not bring a murderer into this world, and my son would not go out there. My son grows up in church. He would not go out there and tell any lie. And more and less, you say my son is a suspect, but you charge my son for murder. Suspect, how do you pronounce that? Because suspect is suspect, it's spelled different, and murder is spelled different. So it's two totally different things you are saying to me now, right? And he went to court, they remanded him. That's from 2021. He went on trial in 2023, 7 of them. 4 was found guilty. He had a hung jury, and a next one, his solicitor do the snitch, cutthroat, they call it cutthroat. So his client get away scot-free, and he was at the scene, and my son wasn't at the scene. That one that get away was at the scene, and my son was not there. And my son, anyway, he had the hung jury, and he remand again. They set up another trial for him, and when the trial was supposed to be in February last year. When it come to the time, they cancel it and put it back way in November. So he almost on another year of remand. So in total, he served 3 years and 5 months on remand. He went on trial this time now, but he found not hung jury now, because there was no, the police officer who was the case, he was the cook, he was the cleaner, he was the prep, he was the chef, he was everything in this CC footage and making pure mistake. This is who I think is Mr. Wilson. You see no facial images of the person, nothing to say. It's just a, if Pearl see different, just a shadow, white cloud. Like, when you have white, what you call that? Fog. That's all they see. 2 foot tracing, who they say is the boy that died, and 2 more other guy. The one that they say do the stabbing, he fled the country, right? They cannot identify my son to say is him, because my son wasn't there. He came home after the incident, went home. The CC footage, they put it as he was like behind some bush hiding on Lucas Road, while the others were going into the cab to Highville. That was the last sighting they saw of my son. He was so my son say he was there protecting his, what he has to protect, and then he head home. That's the last sighting of him until they now put him to say this person that they see tracing the victim that died is my son. There's no facial images, nothing to say is him. All I can hear when I'm seeing into the trial, this is who the Crown think is Mr. Wilson. Every talk he thought, this is who I think is Mr. Wilson. And the same opinion with the judge, with the police. Pure mistakes upon one mistakes and the other. It was a chaos in there. Anyway, it happened that the trial went through. When it comes to the ending of the trial, the prosecutor must be realized that he has no legs to stand. It's a weak case. He applied for to use his conviction from, remember, this is his first, what they charge him for is the first. Nothing was behind it. Was before. He tried to apply for to use his after he had an incident after. In the first trial, the prosecutor did want to use it, but that judge refused because it was modern slavery. What he was, it was modern slavery. So that judge refused to bring it into it, say he gonna prejudice against him. So it didn't use in the first trial. But this judge now allowed the prosecutor to use it against my son. And when the jury them select, there were no diversity in the jury. It was just 11 white jury and one Asian guy in my son's trial. From you see those jury comments, they never look up. They just look up their head in the ground like hug. That's how I see it, because it's only hug, look down and don't look up. They were cold. So from ever since we were like, this is it. They haven't any interest in the trial. They wasn't like, sometimes you look at them, it's like they wasn't paying any interest into what's going on. Because they already make up their mind. It's a black boy into the dock there. We're going to send him down. And definitely, what happened when the verdict come down? Before the verdict, when they're in the jury, they send out a note to the judge, asking the judge, what is the meaning of sure? I'm thinking, as an English person, you ask, you don't know the meaning. That means you're not an English person then. Because every English should know what sure is. And for a jury to be asking that question, the judge should just fling out that case or just discharge them. But no, the judge accept. The judge is a 75-year-old judge, an old retired judge. Right? He accept it. When the verdict, after they return back to the jury room after that question, the judge, they come back and say they cannot reach a verdict with everyone. So the judge, that's where the judge wrong again. He will accept majority. He will accept majority. And they just come out 11 guilty. The one Asian guy, when he heard the verdict, he hung his head like this and was shaking his head, because he knows if this jury did go by the evidence that put, because this guy is not stupid. He was asking some sensible question in the jury every time he sent over, because he knows the police were lying. Because my son live in Leighton, and some signal they make for their boundary sign. The gang expert that they get come in to say it is a sign of allegiance, to say they sign allegiance to the Marley's boy. Sign allegiance. My son says it's a sign of Leighton, where he lives. He said he encountered with my son. He has never, ever encountered with my son, this gang youth man, because he took over Waltham Forest 2019, and my son leave Waltham Forest 2018, and he has, no matter how I begged my son to come, because he was allowed to come to where I live, he said, no, I'm not coming to Waltham Forest, and he never put back. And this policeman took over Waltham Forest 2019 and go in the dark to lies to say he is gonna, my son is a gang member. Gang, yeah. This is what they use to manipulate the jury them with their tactics, gangs. Once the jury them hear from you is a gang, you know.
Yeah.
That's it, it end. And when they come back with the verdict, and it said guilty, even the clerk, she couldn't hold. She went on. Oh my God, I can't believe. This wasn't the verdict I was looking for. I was looking for a not guilty. The security them that just come up in, they were shocked too. Of the everyone that was there shocked. Because they can't believe you don't have any evidence. No evidence. I think that's all you can hear. I think this is who the crown think. How can you just be thinking, think, everything, think. Anyway, it happened that he found guilty. And that was on the 3rd of December, bro. 13th of December. Yeah, he found guilty. And the sentencing was last Thursday.
Last Thursday. Wow.
Yeah. And the same thing in the sentencing remarks. The judge did want to, like, his principle. His principle. So, you know, Joint Enterprise Commander 2, secondary and principal. So who they want to say now, the principal are the main perpetrator who do the stabbing. And so they do my son as one of the principal and 2 others. The one that run away, leave the country, and one that already found guilty. So, and the indictment was my son, the 3 on top of the indictment. So they believe that they were the principal. How can you say somebody's principal when you have no face recognition? You don't see the person with any weapon or not, but he's a principal. So anyway, after he found guilty now, they didn't really mention it in the trial that he was a principal. It's then when the sentencing, they want to bring it in, he's a principal. So his defense team have to stand and said, no, my client can never be a principal because, my Lord, there's no evidence of my client with any weapons or at the scene, or you only see 2 legs running. So, you know, she defend. So in the remarks now, the judge kind of come down and like he did want to be at the starting point for 25 years for a 16-year-old. So they're breaking the law as well. Because with my son, it should be starting point is between 12 and 15 years. Right? Because he was 16. And it come down, they break it down until he finally come to the conclusion. Or what did he use, Pearl? I'm not sure. I wasn't sure he is the principal. I'm not sure he's the stabber. I'm not sure he was carrying a knife. That's the judge sentencing remark. But yet still, he looked at my son and give my son 16 years and 200 days. But not sure.
Damn. Is that a minimum sentence?
Yeah, so he has to serve that. So he already served 3.5 out of it, 5 out of it, and remand. So he has to now do 12 years and 7 months.
Ah,
Yeah, before. But we appeal the conviction.
mm,
So we just between 3 to 6 months. That is so. It's just that we have to rely on now
mm.
the kind of body.
Mhm.
Not guilty.
Mm.
Don't look like he knows. Because the man, he don't even use computer. He was there all through the trial, writing. So each time you has to sit there, has to wait until you write down the old school style you was on. He's 85, 75. He retired. So I didn't know what. And this man sit down there and all these mistakes that this police was doing during the CC. You can't see nothing on this. Even some of the security said the case should just dismissed. It should not allowed to continue. Too much mistakes. First judge. He wouldn't found guilty. No, he would never found guilty.
Do you have? I mean, obviously, you don't have any control over like the judge, do you?
No,
Like, you can't say, "Oh, I don't like this judge."
no, we can't do it.
Send in
And
another one.
we should. I think too. They should allow to say, look, I need diversity in the jury selection. I'm black, and you have 11 white jury. What would you expect? If it was, I'm saying this, if Christopher did even get even 3 or 4 others, I think maybe he would maybe get another hung jury.
Yeah.
And then they would have to just release him. But no, 11 white jury. Before even the verdict, remember, the judge, I sit there every day and the judge told them they must not congregate outside of the court. They must not discuss it. They must not. And as soon as they leave the court, the evening, the same Tuesday evening, discharged to do the summon. As soon as I come out, all of them was in the alleyway at the Old Bailey, in group, coming and chatting and laughing as if they know each other from way back. So I'm like saying to myself, so that's they also break the law. Because they should not be seen congregate. They are telling them don't do Google search. In this time, that cannot work anymore. They're gonna do it.
Yeah.
They're going to do it. Secondly, again with my son trial, there was a documentary on Channel 4 about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Wow.
So what do they expect was gonna come from this trial? A documentary. I didn't know that there was a documentary on.
They didn't inform you.
No, it's when my brother went and said, Carmen, after the verdict, my brother was going to the doc on site, and my brother called me and said, now I know why Christopher didn't get a fair trial, because there was a documentary. How many of those jury? Because the documentary were they are notorious gangs members and the biggest drug selling, making 50,000 a day in drugs. This is how the police they put it. So if someone sees something like that, and they see you come before them, what do they expect?
Mm.
So it's when I saw it now, I send it over to my son legal team. So they put that as part as the appeal as well. Because they could never expect he was gonna get a fair trial when all these things out there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So in the meantime, the trial was in. The family passed a note over to my son and like they're sorry, saying they're sorry to put him through all this. And because the family, they must know, because my friend has a daughter and the boy, two sisters, goes to the same Walthamstow Academy school. And when they heard the conversation, they, they said, Christopher, how Christopher get involved in this? How Christopher get in this? This has nothing to do with Christopher. So the family, they know exactly who is the killer. In There was 3 altercations in the area that night of 3 different, because it look like these boys, they just go around and make trouble all over the borough. So there was 3 altercations in the one area that night. Nobody see when the boy gets stabbed. Nobody see when the murder commit. But what the police, they just do with their lazy investigation, they didn't investigate because the boys then they come down and attack these boys in the Uptown Pizza. That's where leader. If my son wasn't in the Uptown Pizza that day and get attacked, my son wouldn't in prison now. But just that, because he was there and get attacked, that's what the police they use and drag him in. That's the only thing they had to drag him in there. So because my son was attacked, he's a murderer.
It's crazy, man. This is
And
crazy.
until now, nobody, when one of the boy dad come and identify him in the CC footage, identify them in the Uptown Pizza, and see this and says his son. And it's still how a dad cannot know any one of my kids in the darkest of the night. I would know them,
Yeah,
right?
trust.
And he come and identify his son. And the police, they put it out in the news that this boy is the wrong identification. How can a dad wrong identification his own son? Just trying to cover this boy and make it look like this boy was an angel. He was an angel from heaven when he is not none. Now, his family, them after the sentencing, I come outside and because I didn't want to speak to the family, but because they sent a note over to my son, so I understand now and I said, well, I can approach them. So I went over there and said, I'm Christopher, mom, and she said to me, oh, she's very sorry. And, they were quite nice. She held my hand, she squeezed my hand. I hugged her, she hugged me, and she said to me, please, please, I'm asking you, give him all the support he can while he's inside. Give him all the support. Right? So if they did have any envy again, now the paper there. If you see what the police they put in the paper, how the family say they will not forgive Christopher because he didn't show any remorse and he lies his way and he's a notorious this and he's that, and he should not be on our street. They branded him my 16-year-old as if he is the crazed brother. That's how they brand him. He's the notorious Ronnie Craze brother. Right? He's dangerous. And he didn't kill anybody. He didn't show any remorse. My son make it clear to them, say, I will not show any remorse because I did not kill anybody. I did not murder anybody. All I can do is give my empathy to the family.
I wanna.
And this is now causing me to. I'm a dedicated Christian. I was born and grow in environment from Jamaica to here, right? I did not leave my faith in Jamaica, come to this country. I bring it from Jamaica here with me. I don't go party, I don't go dance, I just church, right? From I come to this country. And my son grows up in the same, he grows up in church. He was active member in church. And I know he would not go out there and kill a fly. I know my son. He's too soft and easy to cry. And people with such heart, soft heart can't do. Sometimes I have to slush him and say, am I growing a girl or a boy? Are you a boy or is a girl? That's all. Yeah, I have to get at him. He's too soft. Everything he would just go one side and rub it and crying.
It's not rubbish.
So how can somebody like that go out there? If he's get a little knife cut, he's singing, the blood, he's scared blood. So how is he gonna go out there and stop something when he knows blood gonna run? He's blood phobic. Right? So when this happened, to be honest, even him, we were fasting, the whole world was praying for him. The whole church everywhere I just asking for prayer everywhere I can get it. Prayer and prayer list and everything. Prayer I tell sir, I lose my faith in all this. Because how can I've been serving a God? My son was fasting. He inside the prison, helping with prayers, meeting and Bible studies with them. And he's praying and fasting, and this happened to him. So where's the God that I start questioning myself and losing my faith in all this.
Understandable.
Because you cannot, and I'm being honest, I'm not pretending to like I'm happy with what happened. I'm angry because God should not allow this to happen. And I'm questioning my faith. How does he sit back and make this happen to my son? And I'm suffering, I'm punishing, I'm walking the street having panic attack, getting anxiety because my son faces all over Waltham Forest. They are protecting a dead man who is a notorious gang members and putting my life at risk. Because remember, I'm living in the borough same way. And people knows me and know Christopher knows my son. I can be walking down the market and the same boys' friend them just come up behind me. They stab me. They shoot. They do me anything because I'm Christopher. My son killed their friend. Right? So my life is at stake right now. I'm scared. I am very, very scared because this should not have happened. You can't protect someone that dead and then put someone that alive life in danger. My life is at stake. So I just don't know. So we just have to be just hope and the appeal may come in his favor. So that's the only hopes right now.
Yeah, it's a sad too that people don't see where the family has to suffer in
They
that way.
don't see that. They don't look at that. They're protecting the dead. And the thing that I do not like too, and I would love this to go out there, when someone is a gang member and you come before something happens, don't portray like the person is angel when he is not. Say he is a notorious gang member to the jury them. Don't cover up. He's the light of the house. He was the love of the family and he was this. And you know he is not. And you just put the Cody and the defendants to be the demons in front of the jury them. It should be just 50-50.
Mm.
He's a gang member as well. Right? Don't pretend he's not. He always was a promising footballer. He was this. When he's not, you're out there selling drugs.